everybody. Welcome to The World This Week. We'll start with a special interview with Abe Foxman, who is retiring from ADL after 50 years. The Anti-defamation League is a major Jewish organization in the United States which has been fighting anti-Semitism and bigotry around the world for decades. I met with him in Tel Aviv. Mr. Foxman, thank you very much for speaking with us.
It's good to be here again.
With the new Israeli government ushering in, I think it's the first time that the Jewish community in America does not support an Israeli prime minister almost automatically. And this is a significant change.
Well, maybe a little older than you are. It's not the first time. I'm old enough to remember 1977 when the Israeli people elected Menachem Begin. It was a shock. It was a shock to the body politic of the American Jewish community, who didn't know him, and what they knew came from 30 years of labor government propaganda. So compared to the attitudes, the anxieties, this is a prime minister they know.
When the Obama administration criticized Netanyahu for what was perceived as racial comments during the campaign, was they right to do that?
I think it was unfair. I think it was absolutely unfair. I think Democrats are guilty, Republicans are guilty. You got to go. They're going after me. They're organizing. They're coming in buses. Whoever that they are is the opposition. I think it was unfair. I think it was part of the president's effort to undermine the prime minister, because the United States and Israel today are in a very serious disagreement on a very serious policy issue. It's not a question of friendship. It's not a question whether they like each other. The prime minister put it, Iran for the United States is a question of security. Iran for Israel is a question of survival. That's a major policy difference. What I saw the president doing is trying to undercut the credibility of the prime minister, because the prime minister was challenging the president's view, his policy, his judgments on Iran. And here he had an opportunity. So he played with this word racist.
Sensitive to racism that you are, yeah. Didn't you find it a bit too much?
I wish he'd used other words, but I understood in a moment of election, you know, if we were to judge people by election rhetoric, there would be very few people we would be talking to.
What's broken with U.S.-Israeli relationships?
It's not a question. There's a difference. There's a national security assessment difference. And it's for the first time, I believe, in my recollection, that our two countries see the Middle East, or future in the Middle East, and significant interests different. President of the United States truly believes that it's in America's best interest to do whatever he can to prevent another war in the Middle East for the United States. That's his #1 objective to leave in terms of his legacy. He's not doing it to hurt Israel. He believes that this may help Israel. What's not broken? It is a serious difference in policy about this region.
And the result of this, with Netanyahu's re-election and Obama's remaining tenure at the White House, are we on a collision course now?
No, because again, at the end of the day, there are a lot of more positive interests than one significant interest. I think the United States will need Israel as a strong ally, and Israel is dependent on the United States as its strongest only ally in the future. So they'll find a way to work with it, as the Saudis are doing now, the Gulf states, who are really at odds. They think that the United States policy vis-a-vis Iran is wrong. Wrong not only for the United States, but wrong for them. And yet they're sitting and talking, well, what happens the day after? And I think Israel will do exactly the same thing.
Regarding anti-Semitism, are we, as it looks, in an all-time high post-World War II?
Yeah, I would say it's the worst that it's been since World War II. Not, God forbid, like it was World War II, with major differences. Not only the difference that we have a Jewish state, and not only that the governmental leadership throughout Europe, whether it's France or Germany or Great Britain, have been speaking out, acting out, protecting the Jewish community. These are very significant differences. But in the year 2015 for Jews in Europe to be thinking about their children not being able to live as Jews in those countries, for Jews to be worried about it. Anti-Semitism is a clear and present danger to Jews in significant countries. So yeah, I think it's the worst that it's been since World War II.
Where does criticism on Israel's policies stops and anti-Semitism begins?
Well, it's morphing, it's metastasizing. Look, the demonstrations against Gaza started as criticism of Israel or opposition to policies of the government of Israel, and look how quickly it morphed into mobs going against synagogues, people going into supermarkets or stores, going after kosher products or Jewish stores. So no, we've always understood criticism of Israel per se is not anti-Semitism. Otherwise, you may say half of Israel is anti-Semitic. There's more criticism per square kilometer, per square Jew in the state of Israel than anywhere else in the world. So criticism per se is fine. You can criticize the policies, you can disagree. But we are finding more and more that it's an excuse. It's a camouflage.
You know that the Ethiopian Jewish community in Israel says that this is a racist country. What do you say to that?
Well, I think it's there is racism. We're not immune. We're the Jewish people, with all the intentions of wanting to be better, we're not immune from racism. I don't think it's a racist country. A racist country would not have risked its people's lives to rescue the Ethiopian community and to bring them here. So no, but there is racism, and there is, again, we're not immune. We're not that much different. I think we should be. I hope we would be. I think this is a very, very significant test for Zionism. I think it's a significant test for the Jewish people. If we cannot deal with this, if we cannot become open and tolerant and accepting, then there's something wrong with what we believe we would like to be. So I think this is a test. I'm confident we will meet the test. But no, it's not a racist country, but there is racism here.
Abe Foxman, I thank you very much.
Thank you.
The Cyprus saga, such a small place and such a fierce fight between the Greek part and the Turkish part. With us from Nicosia is Pulitzer-winning journalist Nathan Morley. Thank you very much for joining us from there, Nathan.
Hi, Jacob. Good to talk with you.
Do you have any reason to believe that this time something will come out of the talks between the Greek and the Turkish sides?
I think there are some reasons we could be cautiously optimistic. I know that is an old phrase which is being used time and time again by the United Nations, but there are some elements here which suggest that this new round of talks do have a chance. We have a new man in Nicosia from the United Nations, the UN Special Envoy to Cyprus, the Secretary General's Special Envoy, Espen Bartha Ida, is a very determined, skilled, well-connected diplomat, and he's expressed absolute determination to make this process work. He's a very important factor in this whole new Cyprus talks process. Also, we have a new Turkish Cypriot leader who's seen as a moderate, also wants to make it work as well. And we've heard the same comments coming from the Greek Cypriot leader and president of the Republic of Cyprus, Nikos Anastasiadis. So three men, the three most important men in this whole process, apparently all heading for the same goal. So to use that UN term, I would say there was, at this point, every reason to be cautiously optimistic.
It all really depends on Turkey and Greece.
Well, you know, that's interesting because to hear a Greek foreign minister and a Turkish foreign minister both singing from the same hymn book on Cyprus is pretty unusual, but that's what we've heard. So to have these two guarantor states, and two states which are very important in the Cyprus problem, of course, when it comes to the Cyprus problem, the Greek Cypriot community are always in consultation with Athens, and the same situation goes with the Turkish Cypriots and Ankara. So yes, they are important, and it is important to see that they are both in agreement that this process should work.
Meanwhile, we are seeing improvement in Cyprus' economy. How's that?
I don't think anybody was more surprised about the economy than the finance minister. I heard him on television. There are a few reasons that we've suddenly seen these positive results. One is the tourism sector doing very well. Of course, the tourist season here in Cyprus, and figures are very good. Even though that tourists are spending less, we have more tourists, but they're spending less. Also, professional services sector has seen a bigger demand, but there's been bad news on the construction and development front. But all in all, I mean, considering Cyprus is in the middle of a bailout and it's been in recession for 4 years, these figures are being welcomed here in Nicosia, unsurprisingly so.
Thank you very much, Nathan Worley in Nicosia, Cyprus.
Thank you.
Female journalists in France launched a campaign against male politicians, demanding an end to sexist comments and wandering hands. And reporters from newspapers and TV channels have signed up to this campaign, which launched in Libération newspaper under the headline, "Get Your Hands Off Me." Now, Ellen Bekemzian is a Le Monde newspaper reporter, and she joins us from Paris. Thank you very much, Ellen.
You're welcome.
Is it really that bad? Give us some examples. What French politicians allow themselves to do?
Well, there are several levels. First, there would be just some jokes or little remarks. Then you have more like inappropriate gesture, inappropriate comments, inappropriate jokes, and this kind of things that goes on daily basis, every day.
And I guess this is not funny to you, and this is during your work as a journalist.
Yeah. This, for example, when you are in a press conference and there's many journalists who wants to ask a question, the politics will say something like, this lady can ask a question because she has a pretty dress, or I like her hair, or something like that, which is totally inappropriate. Then you can have some things more serious, like politics whose hand going through your hair, or maybe touch your arms or your legs, and he will always say that it's not on purpose, or he doesn't mean, you know, it doesn't mean bad or something like it doesn't mean wrong. But when it goes on every day on daily basis, you know it is on purpose.
Why journalists, or do they just do it all the time to every woman around them?
Well, I think there's several answers to that. First, they are probably a reflection of what's happening in the French society, where there is much sexism in the society. And also, I think when you have power, I don't know how it is in other countries, but maybe in France, when you have power, when you're a minister or a congressman, you allowed yourself more than just regular people, because you can have everything you want every day. You can have the car when you want it, you can have lunch when you want it. So maybe they think you can also have women when you want it. And I think there's a third thing that when you work in politics, you have to seduce people. You have to seduce people in order to be elected. So maybe there's more of a seduction. It's more present in this specific part of work, of relationships. So maybe they try more to seduce the journalists because they need to seduce them in order to have maybe good articles or good reviews.
So what are you planning to do about it now?
We are not an association or a group, and we don't want to build something that would stay for long. We just wanted to put this letter for one time, and we have no intention for the rest, for the future, for what we want to do. But now that we have done this, maybe it will be easier in the future if we want to have a second answer, a second movement or something. We'll do maybe name the person, or name and shame or something like that. But we haven't discussed it yet, and we'll see how it's gonna go for the next days, weeks.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you need help from others to make a deeper change in French culture or male culture.
Yes, I think, well, France is globally, I think, a quite machist country, maybe compared to other. It's a really, southern culture, like you can find in Italy, maybe, or or I don't know, in Spain maybe. So yes, and also I think the change will come when you will have as many women and men in assembly, in governments, maybe when one day we'll have a president which is a woman. So I think first we have to go to a really fair, parity, as many men and women who are responsible, and I think this will mechanically, automatically, maybe change the behaviors.
Hey, interesting to see a female president. Thank you very much, Helen, from Paris.
Thank you. Thank you.
And this has been The World This Week. We'll see you here next Sunday. Have a great week.